Giga Australia? Will it ever happen? Will any car manufacturing ever happen again in Australia? Australia is full of natural resources: iron ore, lithium, nickel, aluminium, cobalt, manganese, all the ores necessary for battery production. And there's a few big players in the push for EV production in Australia. Mike Cannon-Brookes, who's the founder of Atlassian, he's Australia's fourth wealthiest out of 131 billionaires in Australia. And his net worth is around 26 billion. I've also seen 29 billion. Who's arguing over that 3 billion? I'd like half of 1% of the difference. Now, Mike Cannon-Brookes went into partnership with a company from Canada called Brookfield, and they were trying to buy AGL, which is a power company in Australia. They made an offer, got rejected. They upped the offer, rejected. And it was not being in the shareholders' best interest. I call bullshit on that. Because Mike Cannon-Brookes wanted to wind up the coal-fired power stations that they had under their control early. But even our government has said we shouldn't be closing coal-fired power stations early, as it will increase the price of electricity, make the grid unstable. I call bullshit again, because Mike Cannon-Brookes said by switching sooner to sustainable power generation, solar, wind, etc., it would create jobs, make power cheaper, and so on. Of course, our government wants to keep coal. The Nationals are a very coal-focused party, especially in North Queensland. It's not called the Coalition for nothing. There were some articles in Which Car and The Driven back in November 2021 that reported that Mike Cannon-Brookes had approached Elon Musk and Tesla to set up a car factory, or at the very least a battery factory, here in Australia. Now, this makes a lot of sense. As I've already stated, we've got all the natural resources here. And along with that, we've got a huge amount of sunshine and we've got a lot of wind. Even Perth gets a mention in the windiest cities of the world. As far as I can see, it's Wellington in New Zealand, Reykjavik in Iceland, Cape Town in South Africa, Agana Heights in Guam, Perth in Western Australia, Chicago in the USA. So even Chicago, which is known as the Windy City, is one below Perth. So we can make a lot of power here in Australia very cheaply from these two sources, wind and solar. We've got a lot of both. So the more I read about this guy, Mike Cannon-Brookes, the more I think he's doing an excellent job. He's a fairly vocal advocate for greater action on climate change, and he's a renewable energy investor. So against setting up a gigafactory in Australia would be our labour costs. It would probably be cheaper to build in Indonesia or Thailand. They've already got car plants there. In fact, literally a few weeks ago, Hyundai opened up an EV manufacturing plant in Indonesia capable of producing 250,000 EVs per year. And they're looking at making their Ioniq 5 there. Indonesia is also the world's largest nickel producer, but they've also got large quantities of cobalt, bauxite, copper, ores, which are all very important ingredients in the manufacturing of batteries for the EVs. I still think a battery factory would be an ideal solution for Australia. What we need is our government to assist in this endeavour. Yeah, joke. So what they need to do is to stop all the gas and oil subsidies, which is estimated at $12 billion per year going to these gas and oil companies. If they diverted that to encouraging renewable industries, car manufacturing and battery manufacturing here, that would be a step in the right direction. But with our current government, I don't think it's going to happen. We need to make it illegal for these companies donating large sums of money to these political parties, who then seem to be obliged to support them. We're the only country in the OECD not to have CO2 emission standards, nor have we adopted the Euro 6 noxious emission standards that were adopted in the EU over 6 years ago. Now, since the Ukraine war and the rapid price increase of fuel, there's been a massive upsurge in the interest in EVs. There's even now a 9-month wait for a Tesla Model 3, and the likelihood of us getting Model Ys here in Australia are pretty small this year. Hyundai could only get 500 of their new electric SUV, the Ioniq 5 here, despite Hyundai Australia asking for a lot more. And they sold out in under 7 minutes once they went online. That just shows you what the demand is like. So Australia could resurrect its car industry. There was a plan for new EV manufacturing, for a new EV manufacturing centre that was laid out in a report titled Rebuilding Vehicle Manufacturing in Australia. And it came from the Australia Institute's Carmichael Centre. But even if we can't revive that, what about reviving battery manufacturing? We've got all the raw materials. In 2017, raw lithium was worth about $1.1 billion. But if we processed it into the precursors for battery and then manufactured those batteries, it would turn into $22 billion. But we seem to just dig stuff up and export it to another country and let them make all the money. In Australia, we sell about 1 million vehicles per year, and we've got 19 million cars on the road. The average life of these cars is 15 years. So even if we were all to switch to EVs now, today, it would still be until the latter part of the 2030s. And we'd still have some ICE vehicles on the road. So reaching net zero is going to be very difficult. So will we ever see anything like this happening here? Probably not while we have current government. Whether things will change with a changing government, I'm not sure. I would like to hope so. What are your thoughts? Stick a comment down below, and please don't forget to like and subscribe and click the bell notification. It costs you nothing to like and subscribe. It just needs an email address. Thanks very much.